Hello everyone, it is the SeaTactics, and thank you for clicking on the video. I appreciate that a lot. We're talking about Golden Kamuy Episode 1. This is by Geno Studio, the people who did Kokoku last season. You can find this on Crunchyroll, of course, and I was really actually excited to cover this anime because it covers the Meiji era, the Russo-Japanese War. I believe you pronounce it as the Meiji. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I haven't really read a lot about the Russo-Japanese War since I was in high school. Also, as like a cool little thing, I went ahead and went to Wikipedia. I looked up 203-meter hill. We'll talk about that more later, what actually goes on there, but I think I've narrowed this down in where the beginning sequence, and for most of this episode, at least the time period of this episode, the actual kind of months it takes place in. So I think that's pretty interesting. But let's talk about the thing everyone came here for, and that is the episode itself. Episode 1 has our main character, Saichi Sugimoto, a soldier charging the front lines of battle. He is shot in the neck, but he survives that gunshot wound and the battle, and next we see him. He is panning gold in the mountains while an old man looks onward. We then find out that Sugimoto isn't just a normal soldier, but is a soldier who is known for surviving so many battles that he is described as immortal in stories passed down. I actually think his nickname is the Immortal Sugimoto. The man being drunk tells a story about how a man tattooed codes on prisoners for a treasure full of gold, and if they make it out and survive, then they can have half of the treasure. It turns out that that old man is a part of that very code, but a bear attacks him as he runs away from Sugimoto and kills him. But Sugimoto finds him and he takes the man with him to get his code off his body. But he is attacked by really bad CGI from the late 90s in the form of a bear, and then an Ainu comes out and saves him, which I think is really awesome. Ainu are really interesting people if you don't know who Ainu are. In the second half of this episode, Sugimoto and the Ainu, Aserpa, fight another bear. We learned that the criminal, though, didn't intend to share the gold and actually planned to skin the people with the codes on their bodies and, take the codes for himself. So after defeating the bear in an anticlimactic, mostly because of the CGI, fight, Sugimoto skins the bear and Aserpa. They team up together to get the gold and get revenge for Aserpa's father since it's, his gold anyways. So it's gonna be a pretty interesting series. But the one thing that I want to let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. That was some really bad CGI. The dog was kind of fine, but the bear, oh my god, it looked like it came out of Kabbalah's Big Game Hunt. It was some bad CGI. Some really bad CGI. I don't think I've ever seen that bad of CGI in anime until now. I think that is easily some of the worst CGI just in anime, period. Easily the worst CGI of this season so far, and I don't think a lot of anime this season are using a lot of CGI, at least the ones that I'm watching, of course. So yeah. But the second biggest thing, and the one we'll talk about for the rest of this video because there's actually not a lot of notes I have, it's in the Meiji era, which isn't really used that often in anime, used that often in stories or anything like that, and it takes place during the Russo-Japanese War, which is the Russian and Japanese fighting. This is a war that had a lot of things that happened in it that were very important in history. I'm not remembering exactly what those are, but if someone in the comments is a little bit of a history buff and could tell me what that is, I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, I have Russo-Japanese War wiki up right now because I've been reading about it, because the Russo-Japanese War was actually one of my favorite things we covered when I was in high school. But we didn't go over it a lot, which is kind of sad. Anyways, I was talking about earlier, the beginning of the episode, they tell you basically where this first part is. So the first part is Sugimoto is in the trenches and they rush some soldiers in other trenches while they're shooting some type of machine gun. I'm sure Malice in Wonderland is watching this video. He's probably already got it down in the comments anyways. He gets shot and he survives. So I used the hints it gave, the 203-meter hill. And I think this takes place in 203 203-meter hill sometime in December or something like that, or January of 1904. And I think it is the siege of Port Arthur. I think it has to do with that and the events leading up to it. So this is right near where Russia surrendered, I believe. If I get any of these facts wrong, I am sorry, but I only looked up this 203-meter hill thing to see what time this is taking place. And I think it's either January or December of the same year. I found that kind of interesting, where they gave you enough information to kind of pinpoint that, but they didn't tell you exactly. And through context clues, you understand that this is, I think, still on 203-meter hill. I think the rest of the episode is. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if it is or not, but I like the plot of this anime. It's about a gold rush. Gold rushes are freaking awesome stories. Like, it's really like a Western-ish, not like Western as in like, just like, America or North America. We're talking more like Western movies, right? It's like got a cool Western movie vibe to it because it's about a gold rush in the Meiji era and about foreigners coming to a different land to find gold. That is an awesome kind of story that I love being told, and not a lot of anime have done a gold rush story in recent memory. So Golden Kamuy is doing that, and I am all for it. I am a fanboy for these kind of stories because gold rush is the easiest motivation to have for a character, and we don't know exactly what Sugimoto's motivations are other than the fact that he wants the gold, but I think he wants the gold for his dead friend's wife because he wants to take her to America with the 200 yen from the gold to get her eyes fixed. And I think that's a really noble cause, and Sugimoto is obviously not the nicest person ever. I mean, he's a soldier who's been killing people, and he's kind of aggro a little bit. He has a little bit of a bad guy side to him, in my opinion. And that's what I kind of get from the writing and kind of the way he's presented. He's kind of like a no-nonsense guy who does what he does for a singular person. Now, if he's in love with this girl, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to play anything into that. I would not be surprised at all if Sugimoto harbors feelings for his dead friend's wife. It's an awesome character motivation. It's a super simple one. It doesn't need to be really complicated at all. His character works off just the motivations he has in episode 1 with the gold. The dead friend's wife thing is like icing on the cake at that point, and it doesn't really need to be needed, and it's quite a thin layer of icing, but it's big at the same time. It's got I'll explain it this way. It's a thin layer of icing, but the flavor is intense. It's really good character motivation. It's character writing 101. And Asurpa, she's great because she's got a little bit more complicated, I guess, motivations. Like, she wants revenge for her father, but it also has to do with culturally stuff like that as well, and people coming into her land and taking the gold. It's very much almost like a Dances with Wolves kind of feel to it. In many ways, which, there's another anime this season called Dances with Dragons, sorry. Not Dancing with Dragons, not the dance show, but imagine that. They have a reality show where you dance with dragons. That'd be pretty weird. But overall, this episode has just been fantastic. I like this episode. I'm not going to say it's the best episode of the season. I don't think it's anywhere close. I think it still had some problems with the pacing. The old man's story, while being interesting, was a little boring to watch. I felt it was kind of slow. They could have sped it up. The CGI was awful, unforgivable how bad the CGI was, and some of the animation itself, especially in the first sequence and later on with dead guy with the coat on his skin, scenes involving him, the animation were very much bare bones, very much just below what they needed to be kind of level, where it's like, all right, this anime probably doesn't have the biggest budget ever, and they had to definitely cut some stuff in the first episode, and I'm totally fine with that. And it's, from some angles, some of the characters look weird. They have like a JoJo feel to them at some angles, but some of those angles, it doesn't work. I don't know how to describe it other than that it has a manga feel to it. I'll say that. It has a classic 1980s, 1970s manga feel to it, yet it doesn't quite work at times because of the budget cuts they probably had with the first episode. But other than that, it is a very fine first episode, a good one at that. It you don't get a lot of good first episodes in anime, sadly. And this is one of them that has a good first episode, even though it may be lacking in some of the more technical aspects of it and some of the writing. Still good, still worth checking out. Golden Kamuy, go check it out. It's on Crunchyroll. It's by Studio Gino. Same guys did Kokoku. Give it a shot. I think this is going to be one of the best anime of the season. At least one of the most interesting anime. At least we can give it that. So if you enjoyed my review of episode 1 of Golden Kamuy, please put down in the comments below. And also, give this video a like. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon because YouTube basically came out and said, wow, my accent came out right there. YouTube basically came out and said, yo, your subscribers are going to have to hit the bell icon now. They're basically going to have to subscribe twice. So if you could do that for me, I appreciate it. Thank you all for checking out the video. I appreciate also the support you give me otherwise. So I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that may be. Bye-bye.